What if the person you trusted the most vanished when you needed them the most? That's the sting of silence betrayal. It's not marked by shouting, cheating, or public scandal. Instead, it arrives quietly and without warning. It's when someone you poured your heart into, someone you trusted with your loyalty, time, and presence, chooses convenience over real commitment. When the skies were blue, they cheered. But when the storms hit, they disappeared. They were all in when it was easy, when blessings were abundant, and everything flowed smoothly. Their applause was the loudest. Then life got heavy. The clouds rolled in, the fire got hot, and suddenly they were gone. No explanation, no warning, just a void where their promise used to be. That not just walking away but betraying you is far deeper than faded loyalty. See, loyalty doesn't shine in joy. It's tested in chaos, suffering, and silence. It's not about who shows up when it's comfortable. It's who stays when it's inconvenient. If someone left when you needed them the most, when your soul was broken and your spirit on life support, they didn't just betray your trust. They betrayed your worth. Because real love is a choice, not a circumstance. And if someone walked away when things got tough, they never loved you deeply in the first place. Let me speak truth into your spirit. People love to make promises. They'll say they care. They'll say they'll stay. But the fire, your real test, exposes the fakes. When life hurts, when you bleed, true loyalty doesn't run away. Those who leave didn't just walk out on you, they walked out on what they said they stood for. If someone left when you needed them, most apologizing for your need isn't weakness. Relationships are exactly about standing together, vowing to walk both valleys and mountains. It's covenant, not convenience. You aren't asking for too much by expecting someone to stay when the path turns rocky. You're simply asking for what God designed friendship to be. And here's the powerful part. If someone chose the easy escape while you stayed to fight the pain, that's not someone worth keeping close. You don't need to heal around someone who hurts you more. It may hurt to see them go, but holding on could hurt you deeper. Pain from silent betrayal cuts just as sharply as a blade. It's just that the wound is invisible. It's the betrayal that comes in whispers, not swords. And often, this is the hardest truth. The betrayal wasn't even someone physically gone. They stayed in the house. They stayed in your bed. But their hearts left long ago. Imagine the ache living with someone who shares space, but not spirit, where you feel more alone with them than you ever did without them. That is desertion with a smile. A hollow routine without substance. This kind of emptiness is haunting, seeing a familiar face, but feeling gone from a person's heart. So how do we respond? We start with truth. We face the actual reality of the relationship. Not how it should have been, but how it truly is. And then we give ourselves permission to say goodbye. Not in anger, but in wisdom. Not out of hurt, but out of self-respect. Release isn't betrayal, it's clarity. It's recognizing your voice matters. Your value matters. Ghana wanted a partner through every season, not someone who disappeared. Get stronger, not bitter. Believe again, not in quiet betrayal, but in quiet devotion. If someone chose to quit when it got uncomfortable, they didn't love you enough to stay. And that's not your burden to carry. Letting go opens space for someone whose loyalty shines in storms, not just sunshine. And that's exactly the person you deserve. Real love shows up. It stays present. It's not about the comfort, it's about the covenant. Betrayal in silence cuts deeply, but standing strong in your response shines brighter. You deserve relationships that stay through the fire. You deserve loyalty that doesn't vanish. Don't apologize for needing that. Sometimes betrayal isn't loud. It's not dramatic or obvious. It doesn't slam the door, it just slowly fades. They stop caring. They stop praying with you. They stop seeing your tears, stop hearing your cries. Their body is still present, but their soul has long left the room. They become a ghost, with a face, a haunting presence in your life. And, friend, that is betrayal too. When someone chooses not to show up for you emotionally, spiritually, or mentally, even though they still share your space, they break a sacred trust. Because, let's be honest, showing up halfway is worse than not showing up at all. It leaves you more confused than comforted, more isolated than if they had simply left. You're left clinging to a shell of someone who's already gone. You've got to guard your soul from people who treat commitment like it's seasonal. Those who are only present when skies are clear but vanish the moment clouds roll in. Because storms, they're coming. That's life. And if someone isn't willing to weather the storm with you, they don't deserve to dance in your breakthrough. Don't let their absence during your hardest days earn them a seat at your table during your victories. You owe nothing to people who couldn't handle your brokenness. If they couldn't love you in the valley, they don't deserve you on the mountaintop. And yes, forgiveness is important. It's between you and God. Release the bitterness. Let go of the grudge. But don't forget what the storm revealed. Don't erase the lesson that pain came to teach. Remember who vanished when the fire got hot. Remember who stood still while you struggled to breathe. Some people come into your life not to remain, but to reveal. They are a test, a mirror, a moment. And when that test ends, you don't retake it. You learn, you grow, and you thank God for the insight. Because loyalty isn't revealed in comfort, it's proven in chaos. It's not about who laughs with you in celebration, but who stays with you through devastation. And when someone chooses convenience over commitment, when they step away when they were meant to step in, that is not someone you allow back into the sacred places of your life. That's a betrayal you never excuse, and it's one you never forget. There is something holy, something raw and beautiful about vulnerability. When you open up to someone, you are handing them the real version of yourself. Not the polished image, not the version you present to the world, but the real you, the one with scars, the one with stories, the one with tears that still sting, and memories that still ache. That kind of openness is sacred. It's trust in its purest form. And when someone takes that trust and turns it into a weapon, when they use your vulnerability against you, that is one of the most brutal forms of betrayal a heart can endure. Because betrayal rarely comes from enemies. It comes from those we let closest, those we shared secrets with at midnight, the ones we whispered our dreams to in the dark, the ones we believed would guard our hearts, not pierce them. And when they do, it changes something in you. But here's the truth. Even in that pain, even in that heartbreak, there is a lesson. There is clarity. There is healing. So after you've opened your heart, after you've survived the betrayal that came wrapped in silence, what comes next can be even harder to process, the betrayal that comes from the deepest kind of trust. These were the ones who held you while you cried. The ones who looked you in the eyes and whispered, "You're safe with me." The ones you thought would protect your secrets the way they protected your smile. And then one day, something shifted. Their mood changed. Their loyalty wavered. And they took the very pain you shared in confidence and used it as a weapon to wound you deeper. That's not just hurtful. That's not just careless. It is a violation of your soul. Let me be clear, if anyone has ever taken your deepest wound and turned it into gossip, if they've used your trauma as ammunition in an argument, if they've thrown your most vulnerable truth back in your face to shame you or silence you, that was not a misunderstanding. That was not just poor judgment. That was a betrayal of your humanity. It was a betrayal of the sacred trust you gave them. And no amount of "I didn't mean it," or "I was just upset," or "you're being too sensitive" can erase the choice they made to use your pain against you. Because some people don't understand the weight you carried just to speak those words. They don't see the strength it took to open up that locked chapter of your life. They don't realize it took courage, not weakness, to hand someone a piece of your past. And when they mishandle it, when they toss it around like it's casual, or weaponize it to control you, they're not just being cruel. They're revealing something broken in them, something far more fractured than what you ever shared. You see, when you're vulnerable with someone, you're not asking them to fix you. You're not asking them to have all the answers. You're simply asking them to be gentle. You're saying, "Here's the tender part of me. Please don't crush it." And when they respond with judgment, manipulation, or exposure that says more about their brokenness than your bravery, because, sadly, some people don't study your wounds to heal them. They study your wounds to know where to stab. They smile to your face and take mental notes of your pain, not to support you, but to use it later when it benefits them. That's real. That's raw. And that's why some of the most devastating heartbreak doesn't come from enemies. It comes from the ones we trusted most. You have every right to protect yourself from that kind of pain ever again. Forgiveness. Yes, it's important. Bitterness. No, don't carry that weight. But here's what you don't owe. You don't owe a second chance to someone who used your honesty as a blade. Because real love does not humiliate. True trust does not punish. And authentic loyalty does not broadcast your private pain into public places. That kind of betrayal. It cuts deeper than we often admit. It doesn't just bruise the heart. It shakes the very foundation of what love is supposed to be. So take a moment and ask yourself, who has access to my soul? Who have you given front row seats to your healing journey? Not everyone deserves that place. Not everyone can be trusted with your truth. And just because someone says "I'm sorry" doesn't mean they're safe. Apologies without changed behavior are just manipulation with better timing. Be wise. Be discerning. You're allowed to guard the sacred parts of your story. Because you, your heart, your healing, they matter. By now, you've learned the hard truth. Some betrayals require boundaries, not reunions. They don't need second chances. They need closed doors. You've grown. You've endured. You've cried in silence more times than anyone knows. And you've explained yourself far too often to people who were never truly listening, only collecting information, never offering connection. So hear me clearly, you don't owe re-entry to anyone who twisted your whispered truths into weapons. That's not love. That's not friendship. That's a betrayal that doesn't need to be revisited, it needs to be remembered. Because some echoes speak louder than the words themselves. You're not bitter. You're not hardened. You've just become wiser. You've realized that trust isn't a toy, and hearts aren't meant to be handled carelessly. You've learned that when someone mishandles your soul after you handed it to them with trembling hands, that is not something you forget. And honestly, that's not something you're obligated to forgive. Because not all betrayal is explosive. Not all of it shouts. Some betrayal comes in complete silence. It arrives slowly, softly, like a fog creeping into a once clear sky. One day you wake up and realize the person you love is still there, still in the house, still in the bed, still sharing the space. But their presence is gone. The warmth has vanished. The connection has dimmed. The heartbeat of the relationship has faded into stillness. And that kind of absence. It can be louder than any argument, any slammed door, any shouted goodbye. Because when someone stops showing up emotionally, when they turn off the part of themselves that once connected to your joy, your pain, your dreams, that too is betrayal. Just because they haven't left the room doesn't mean they're still with you. Because love isn't just proximity. It's not just being in the same room. Love is presence. It's eye contact, engagement, thoughtfulness. It's caring when no one's watching. It's noticing when something's off. It's reaching not just for your hand, but for your soul. And when someone stops asking how you're really doing, when they stop listening with their eyes, when they stop reaching because they want to and only touch you out of routine. That's not love anymore. That's not connection. That's emotional abandonment in disguise. Some of the loneliest people in the world. They're not sleeping alone. They're lying in beds next to people who have already left them in spirit, even if their body stayed.